Assalamualaikum everybody, and welcome to the second session of the Interactive Matrix 2. Before we start today's event, as you're all aware, we earlier this week, architect Muhammad Shahid passed away, who was indeed a very fine person and a very senior member of our community. So it would be nice if we could just take a moment and say Fatiha for him. In this second session of this platform, which we started with as an attempt to have a platform where we can talk about professionals and academia and students all together, this time around we hope to get a chance to talk about professional practice, which obviously all of us are concerned with. Today we have two very special presenters who will be talking about their experiences in professional practice. One of which is Organised, which is a local Islamabad-based young collaborative architecture practice, and another one is by architect Ahmad, Mukhtar, who is the CEO of IAP-RIC Enterprises, which are based in Lahore. One more thing that we wanted to take this opportunity at the Interactive Matrix was to thank all the volunteers who helped us in the IAP-RICs that happened in Islamabad. We had quite a bunch of young architecture students from all the three schools who did lots and lots of work, and we wanted to also take this opportunity to thank you and give them their certificates. So just before the presentations,
after the presentation,
okay. So
after the first presentation.
Okay, we're going to wait for the students to come, and then we'll do it at the end of the presentations, where we'll award them their certificate and thank you for helping us out with the IAP-RICs. So quickly, without further wait, our first speaker today is architect Dawar Zia, who is part of ORAD, which stands for Office for Radical Architecture Disciplines, which is a young collaborative architecture practice that started very recently in Islamabad. And we wanted to hear from them their experience as a young practice in the field of architecture. So can I please ask Dawar Zia to come and...
May I ask all of you to come forward, अगली सीट्स पे आ जाएं। अगर आप लोग अगली रो में आ सकें, आप सीट रखो, बैठ जाओ और वो पीछे सब देख सकेंगे। Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
As sir introduced me in my office, I'm Dawar Zia. I graduated in 2013, and with me is in the audience also is Ahmad and Mukhtar, who are my partners also in this office. We started back in 2013, where we were also working with different architects in that time, and also we were also teaching in ComSats and NUS respectively. when we graduated, we always wanted to start up our own office, our own practice, because we thought, as three people, we thought our ideology matches at some point, right? So we named our office Office for Radical Architecture Disciplines. People ask us why we have named our office so long, and even in checks when we were getting from clients, they actually gave us the check themselves to actually write the whole name because they don't get it, right? So the whole thing, what we wanted to do in the beginning was to actually do everything. We think that architecture is an envelope, and we have done from furniture to graphic designing to everything. We have graphic designers who are working with us, furniture designers who have actually helped us in different projects. In that 3 years, we have done quite a number of projects, but three years is not probably enough to actually get a lot of build projects. So what we are going to show you later on will be some glimpse of our projects. To start with the presentation, we were actually talking about the whole idea of this presentation was to talk about professional practice. And professional practice for younger people is actually very different as compared to people who have actually established their offices in the beginning in 1960s and 1980s, because we are in state of financial area where it's very hard for us to actually get money out of people, how to get actually trust of actually people, because whenever people actually see at us, they just look at me and they say, are you in what are you in university still? Because I mean, look at me, I just don't look like I'm from it's been 3 years since I graduated, right? So we get this a lot, my main partners, because there's a certain sort of a trust barrier that we have actually found ourselves into clients and to other people, right? So since we graduated, we got this idea that it's very easy once you graduate. It's very easy for you to actually forget what you have learned, to unlearn what you have got in university, because the whole idea to actually earn money, to do things and to do that, and you just, like day by day you actually forget what you've been taught. All those concepts, all those process and everything just goes away from you, because you are in process to actually earning money and nothing comes in between it, right? So it's tricky to actually work in that, because we would actually, when we talk about our office, we say that we are radicals because we think that radical has two meanings, right, in dictionary. One is you are very rudimentary, and other part of radical is that you are trying to do completely different thing, right? So we have to have that mediocre sort of a way where we are actually looking to our clients and not forgetting what we've been taught, right? In books and to our teachers, to our projects that we have actually spent hours and hours on, right? So we think the process of architecture is very important, and what we have learned is that we need to involve our clients in it also, or in those drawings, or in those processes, or those diagrams that we actually make. And we have realized the fact that unless you don't tell your client what you are doing and what you are actually thinking about it, your concept, they will probably think that you are just a person who just make drawings or lines by the end of the day on the paper. And it is actually been, for some people, I mean, better than the people also, what we are representing to them, right? And we have been quite successful at times where we involve our clients into that whole process of it. The whole, also, the thing with finance is also in our field. Especially when you're doing architect, you are trying to earn money, you are trying to earn your name, you just have to settle on a very lower amount at times to actually do a project which takes hours and hours of actually research and work. And so we have done a lot of projects which were very, very small. We have done stage design, we have been involved into different little kiosks that we used to do when we were actually starting our own office. And because we have to financially establish ourselves from the beginning. But it's been 3 years, we are gradually coming up, we gradually started charging more, and we have an office now, so it's a thing. So one of the things that I have also learned is the margin of procrastination in our field. I have seen a lot of my graduates, graduate class fellows who are actually still been procrastinating about their work also, because in this, when you graduate, just everything moves fast and you have to move fast in the future, right? And it is actually sort of a glorified process that we have actually created for ourselves, architects, of procrastinate and working till nights and doing some, opening up offices at night. We just have to work fast to deliver things. This is now how it works anyway. It's a complete sort of a paradigm shift that we are actually seeing in our lives as an architect. Other thing that I want to actually discuss is also office management in our profession specifically. When we were actually starting our own office, we got this project of a corporate office, right? And we didn't know what contracts were, we didn't know what invoices were, and it was by the end of that project, we didn't get anything out of it, because we never had any contract signed, we never had anything. So it was a big setback for us, and at that time we just realized, we have to make contracts, we have to establish ourselves, make a whole process of it. And after that, we three actually sat down and make a whole huge contract, like almost like 50 pages, and no one now reads it. So it's a good thing. Just let's sign it off and just get over it. To run an office is actually it's hard, but it's what you make out of it. And as a young architect in this field, it's only 3 years. I think that we architect, fresh graduate architects need to work with other people also, and we need to learn from them also at times, and then you just start up your own. And one of I have seen in most of the young graduates is that because when they graduate, they just start up their own thing, and it is okay to actually do it, but to have a sort of experience behind you, you need to work with someone. You need to understand how an office works, how different things work. For me, it was a bit hard because we just lack at points at things, but we need to understand this, that we probably need to work with someone to have a little bit of experience before actually starting anything. So we are here with some of our projects we want to discuss with you. So we actually do things a little bit differently, sort of very avant-garde sort of things. When we try to do our work, we think that our diagrams, our graphics are the main idea to sell things off. And whenever we do design or stuff like this, we just do collage, we do drawings, we do all sort of things that make a whole presentation for clients. And some of the things you're going to see, some of the things you're going to witness, what we're going to talk about. This is one of our very first projects called Graphic Consultancy. We did this back in 2013. At that time, we didn't even have an office, we don't have anything, and we just got this project from someone, and we just charged very less amount of money for it, and we got this project eventually. This was actually an NGO office that we did. We're going to go through it. This was the office. The whole plan was open, so it was pretty much new for these people also, because they thought privacy is important. But so this was the meeting area. The thing about process was what I was talking about earlier, was to actually make up diagrams out of it. So you see in this image that when we were doing this house called House 951 in Bahria town, and we wanted to tell client what we were actually thinking about the whole idea. So we gradually started to explain it to him how we see things in graphical manner, about public, semi-public and private spaces of their houses, and why we want courtyards in their house, why is it important, because at this point when you try to tell anyone that you need a courtyard, they think it's a waste of space, and it's very hard for actually anyone to actually tell that you actually need it. But luckily we got away with it. So this is how it looks outside. all sort of fair face sort of a thing, and this is how it looks at night. This is how it looks inside. The whole house is sort of very brutal inside. Does not have any clear finishes, no boundaries, nothing, just brick and concrete, and this was the whole thing. This was another house where it's a sort of a farmhouse that we are actually, it's under construction. It's in the Lahore on Bedia Road. Though we can see the whole process, how we actually built the whole house for sun orientation, and why we have to tell clients in sort of a graphical way so that they can actually get what you're actually doing. And at times it is helpful, but you have to like have a little bit faith in it, architecture sometimes. This is how it looks from above. It's all graphics, nothing. It's under construction, the foundation that we laid. I cannot show you foundation only, so this is how it looks from outside. This is the house entrance. This is from the inside. It's a very narrow house, not more than 20 feet in width. This is another house that we are doing in Bhari Enclave. It's also under construction. It's in the same way, it has a courtyard in the middle, and when you enter into the house, stuff like this. It's the lounge. This is under construction. You can see the constructed images. This is another house that we are doing in Doctorstown in Rawalpindi called Courtyard House, also under construction. We call it Courtyard House because we actually were able to get a courtyard in it. So this was our first courtyard house. This is how it looks from outside. Coming to small projects, these were some things that we did in the very beginning when we were actually didn't have anything. We got this project called, it was a kiosk in St. Mall. It was a candy shop, so we thought it was very interesting for us to actually do this thing. This is how it looks. It's sort of very avant-garde, house going over it. This is a recent superstore that we did in F7 called Co-op. This was also, we did the whole interior of it, and this is how it looks. Some light details that we made. This is their fragrance area. We also did their graphic design. We have a graphic designer with us who actually works with us. So the whole idea was, the whole color scheme and everything was accordingly to how we did the graphics of it. This is a house in F8 we just recently did its interior only. We call this project assemblage because we assemble different things in this place. Nothing was taken from anywhere. This is another sort of a diverse project that we did. We just recently did stage design for TEDx Islamabad, recently in 2016. This was just a month back. We also did stage design. It was about breaking barriers, so we thought how to actually get out of the box. So this is how we thought to get out of the box. Different forms. This is also one of the very early projects that we did. This was one of the first projects that we did on turnkey. So a turnkey is a project where you actually take all the money from the client and just give him a result by the end of the day, right? So all you see the paint over it or the logo sticking over that we did ourselves. At this time we didn't have anyone to actually know contractors and things, so everything was done by ourselves. So it was a very good project actually. This is another one in Bahria town that we are doing. This is a canal residence. also has a courtyard, emphasizing in the courtyard again, light, ventilation, since in the beginning. This is also a very recent project, Cafe Am, in F10. Sort of recent, probably you haven't been there because it's opened yesterday. We also have done a lot of furniture design. This is one of the furniture that we did. We took old furniture, antique furniture, and started spraying it with different colors. And this was the result of it. And this is what we are three. So very avant-garde. So I think this is it. We have. Thank you very much to actually endure with me. So I know it's very hard for me to actually tell you what we did because we don't have much, and we think that we can do more with these lines, these very sort of radical lines that we want to do our work with, and I mean, in future I hope to see you guys again. So thank you very much.
So if you have any questions, please keep them in your mind. Great. I'd like to thank our sponsor for the day, which are Veneto's, and I believe there is somebody here from the company to have a few minutes of your time. Please.
Assalamualaikum. Good evening. It's an honor to be with you people here, and I'm from basically Granito. We are transforming from Granito to the Venetos. Basically, the Venetos is another name of the Granito, right? And the main reason for being with you people is here we are promoting our new product Skin Rock, right? We are just having a counter over there. You people are just requested to come here and to just see a new product Skin Rock. I'll just guide you more about that. And thank you for being with us, and thank you for supporting our products and supporting the vendors in the Granito. Thanks so much.
Our next presenter started his practice in 1993 by the name of IAP-RIC Enterprises. It started small, but they grew big very soon. Architect Ahmad Mukhtar is joining us today from Dawar. He's been kind enough to come all the way. He himself holds a degree in obviously PR from UET, and then a master's degree in urban design and regeneration from the University of Manchester, United Kingdom. Other than his vast experience in architecture design and urban design, he has been part of the academia in terms of being an external tutor to students, and also as visiting faculty to some of the architecture schools in Lahore. So please, may I welcome Architect Ahmad Mukhtar to come and share his ideas with us.
Technology always baffles me. I'm sorry for that. It's all right. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me briefly introduce you to IAP. That's a company that I started when I was in third year or perhaps second year of architecture. And I was always dreaming about having my own company. And I started even putting up my projects for my school with my office insignia on it and with the office name. Instead of using my name, I started using that name. I was butt of many jokes, but I think this is the kind of madness which is required if you want to do something in your life. And today I can cherish that. So today I'm going to talk about an integrated design approach, which we have tried to explore in our company. How Al-Imam started, of course, like any company, we had our ebbs and flows. We grew from a company of 2 to 150 in 2008, and then with the financial debacle, we lost a lot of clients, and then we shrunk back to the size of around 6, 7, and then again we started off around 2010, and now again we are around 60 to 70 people again back in our office. I will talk about a struggle to learn the business of integrated design. Story of Al-Imam. We started off, as I said, in 93. Until 1997, we were trying to find our signature, and we were doing all kinds of projects, small, medium scale, and seldom getting any large scale project. Sometimes we used to get some clients, but then they used to run away. We couldn't find enough white hair in our heads. So I don't complain about that, because nobody would like to entrust a project to an upcoming company with an experience of a couple of years. Nobody is interested in putting up multi-million rupees or multi-million dollar projects to them. So no complaints. And the second phase, that was 97 till today, that is designing corporate corporacy and conglomerates. Still we are going through that. We have our ebbs and flows in that as well. We did something like 350 bank al-falas. We did something like 500 plus Warid projects. We launched Warid Telecom in 7 countries and 3 continents. And in the process, we also understood the art of putting up EPC projects, which is engineer, procure and construct. Do everything yourself. Even the design brief has to be prepared by you. So that is the place where, from an architect's role, we got into an advisor's role for our clients. Third is it's like a tendon Achilles for us, the infrastructure projects. They go hand in glove with bureaucracy, and there's a deep down desire for working people at large. This thing started in 2008, and I put a lot of question marks in front of it. That explains everything. That still we are struggling with this. We haven't learned this art yet. There are certain examples. I know there's a certain time limit, and I can go on and on for each and every project, but I'll try to contain myself within the time slot which I've been given. These are the 4 or 5 basic norms which we practice in our office. One is the site intelligence. We call it gathering site intelligence. Second is research, conducting an exhaustive research about those projects. Mostly you are not getting run-of-the-mill projects, so every project entails certain challenges with it. So sometimes we even had to go all over the world to research about those projects. Third was challenging the norm if required. Once you understand all the nitty-gritty and nuts and bolts of certain projects, then you are in a position to even go and challenge the basics as well. We never hesitated to do that, and luckily our clients even accepted our role as that. Creating a strong theoretical background of the project. Now this is extremely important for us. Without a strong theoretical background of a project, we do not enter into actually designing it. We strongly believe in it that unless you have a strong theoretical background for a project, you will not end up with a good design. So good theoretical background means good design. First is design for signature. I've taken one project out of it. Why? Because it was very popular in those days. That was Generation 1995. This was perhaps the first custom-made boutique, a multi-story custom-made boutique in Pakistan. So I also call it poor man's classicism. It was, the whole building was designed on Fibonacci series. I just take you through graphics. Perhaps that's the strongest language. I do not have to say a lot of words for that. Imagine in 1995 we're experimenting with all the metals and everything. People even used to call us ironmongers. The floor which you're seeing over there, it's nothing but terrazzo and bits and pieces of stone. Sheer hard work, detailing, understanding the nuts and bolts. Then came the second stage, which was designing for corporacy and conglomerates, 1997 until today. Still we are working on it, trying to understand how to do it. Now this is another project which again became very controversial and very popular as well. That was Shadi Manzil. It's a 120 years old building, and our client was ex-BCCI, and today it is Bank Al Falah. It's the same bank from where the BCCI saga started, and unluckily finished when I was studying in England. So Shadi Manzil, it had a lot of appeal for us, and how to retain an archaeological building, its facade, at the same time pull it up into the present public realm, instead of going back in history and try to create another nostalgic dead ghost. Idea was to put it in the to and fro of present time economics and make it a healthy, self-sustaining building. This is how we got a Shadi. First thing which we did, which we learned in our schools as well, document an historical building. So we went out and totally documented that building. Even when we were pulling down parts of building, we had to archive certain motifs and everything, so that the evidence remains there. Tomorrow, the archaeological department, they should not hold us responsible for losing any certain character of the building. So idea was to, the first part of what I've written over there, I do not own that. It's actually Aldo Rossi who said that buildings are assets of the city, however functions performed in them change with time and changing economic cycle. So whatever image that a building creates, that remains an asset of the city. Yes, the function in the building, it is going to change with time. So there is no room to fight with that. The idea is to find the best way to gel it with the present requirements and the present economic cycle. Second was the transformation from speculative commercial function to corporate business function. That was not easy because the business which was conducted in that building was 120 years old. It had small speculative spaces, and making it to a large corporate floor or corporate floor plate was not easy. So we took the easy way out. We retained the facade, did some pre-construction, pre-demolition construction to hold the facade, brace it, and demolish the whole building from the rear. So we had to face some very big challenges. It took us 2 years to get our permission from the city managers, but eventually we got that. This is how we got the building, the dilapidation that was. We did our documentation. A lot of jokes with the whole process. They wanted us to have a parking floor, and of course, for making those parking floors, we had to demolish a few columns. And it was so easy for us to tell them that we cannot demolish those columns. So tell us what else to do. They told us that, okay, fine, have a car lift going into that building. We said, okay, then we are going to have a large structure, ugly structure on top of the building, which is going to be for the car lift. So this is the way we have to go and present each and everything to them after every few weeks. And then we made them realize that when you go for rehabilitation or renovation, then if you do not change the area as per bylaws, you do not need to have car parking. So this is what Shadi is today. We have put a large atrium in the middle of the building, of course topped by a dome. That base of that atrium, which is the basement, is having a large coffee shop. The idea is that people should come and sit over there and see all the banking going around it. It's a service industry. Why people cannot sit there and look at what their money can do? So it worked well for a couple of years, but then security issues came up, and then they had to shut it down. Now this coffee shop is only for the staff who are using Shadi building. Many challenges we had, the player height, because in the place of 2 floors we are putting 5 floors, and the player height which we had from floor to floor was only 9 feet. So we could not go with the conventional method of having air conditioning and lighting systems or fall ceiling. So we came up with the idea of light carrier. This idea we borrowed from planes. When you put your luggage in the rack and the light is coming out, air conditioning is coming out of that as well. So we thought, why can't it work for a building as well? It's the same analogy. And it worked very well. So these light carriers not only have downlighters, they have the uplighters, they have public address system, they have sprinklers, they have everything in them. Even we went down to the detailing of actually designing the fabric and the carpet, weave as well. All the furniture is custom made, designed for Shadi, right down to the planters. Another project, victim of financial debacle of 2008. It was a 35-story building in Dawar. At Chowk-e-Niaz, we dug a big hole of 3 basements, did our shoring piling, but then the project stopped. So that big hole is still there over there. The building is no more. Service house, service industry, the shoe industry, they wanted to change their image. So they wanted to have a upscale corporate floor for their marketing purpose. So we came out and gave them this solution. Now, it is very difficult to get good quality furniture. So we go take the pain of designing each and everything, even down to the detail of designing the extrusions. So if you see, look at this partitioning system, all these are custom-made extrusions. So we had to make those dies and then take those dies to those aluminium people to extrude aluminium for us. Unfortunately, due to the bylaws and all that, which seriously needs revamping all over Pakistan, building heights are restricted, and then you end up with floors which are not more than sometimes 9 feet in height. So doing any kind of conventional lighting, fall ceiling and air conditioning is a big challenge. So this is what day in, day out we face with all our buildings, if we have to do a project in an existing building. And then we keep on pushing limits. This is the conference room of service industry. Instead of having a conventional conference table and seats around it, they usually, what we found out that they usually have very long brainstorming sessions. So something like 5 or 6 hours. So then we thought that instead of giving them the conventional table, why not give them very comfortable seats and pull out kind of trays from the side tables from where they can put their laptops and they can work for long hours. So it worked very well and they're very happy about it. Another victim of financial debacle of 2008, but revived in 2016, that is Crescent Bay, Karachi, Block 4. We were brought in to, Lebanese architect did the architecture and then we were brought in to do the interior. So we have a kind of a norm in our office that beggars are not the choosers. Whatever we get, we do. And we're very happy to do that. So we said, fine, if you pay us well, we can do that. So we did the interior for that Crescent Bay Building 4. That was a huge learning curve for us, working with Ahmad, the largest developer in the world. And they have very strict principles of design and everything. And they really, pushed everything down our throat. Most of the architects, they were totally pissed off, but over the time they found out that it was a great learning experience for all of us. They were so clear about what they want that they even did not allow a certain color hues to be used in anywhere. No turquoise, no blues, no greens, no teal colors. So they knew what they can market and what they have to sell. So sometimes apparently it seems that it's a challenge, it's very difficult, but then over the years you learn that, wow, what kind of research must have gone behind that to select the colors. And they sell like anything. These are the townhouses, or penthouses, and how they were having double height spaces in those penthouses. Even when we were doing the 3Ds for them, they were so meticulous. They even calculated the number of tiles. Why? Because they were getting challenged all over the world that the tiles which you're showing in 3D, they are X number, whereas actually what you've done on the floor is more in number or lesser in number. So they were being challenged all over the world, so they knew that exactly what you thought in your working drawings, please show that in the 3Ds as well. What a pain that was. This is the desire for designing for people at large. This is something, I call tendon Achilles. We keep on struggling with this part, but we really enjoy that as well. This is another hallmark of our practice. This is the forensic lab. We did that in 2011 and 12. It's the second largest lab in the world and the largest in Asia. And the good thing about it is that if you go to the National Institute of Justice website, they tell that such a project, if 100,000 square feet, it is done in 4 years. We designed and completed that, EPC designed and built it in 24 calendar months. So that was a huge challenge for us. So that was, we were doing a lot of EPC projects. Then doing a multi-billion EPC project was a big challenge for us. And client was happy, world was happy, now it's an institute, people from Australia, people from England come and have their courses over here. Everyone is happy, but we lost something like 250 million out of that project. And we were licking our wounds for the next 2 years. We learned that, okay, the price which we paid, we do not regret that because we call it an opportunity cost. And it really, this is something which the upcoming architects, they must look into. It's an opportunity cost which you sometimes pay. Now, in the process, we found out that we have acquired this skill and nobody in this whole region has that skill. And then we had a parallel networking with some companies in America. And we took stretched ourselves and we took it like 3 or 4 step notches up in providing the solutions for the rest of the world. Now we are bidding for similar project in Qatar. We are bidding for similar project in Baghdad. And we have set up our office in Baghdad as well for doing similar niche projects, technical projects. This is something which the upcoming architects, they must look into, not the way we have done it by paying such a huge price, but being more prudent and more sharp, and do not mind paying sometimes some opportunity cost as well. So this was the norm on the right side. This is the way the forensic labs all over the world are done. Why? Because these are something like 19 or 20 labs under one roof, and each and every lab it needs a different kind of an atmosphere, different kind of temperature, different kind of humidity, different kind of air pressure, and so many other things. And then putting them all together, and then doing the engineering and ductings. There are like millions of kinds of ductings in it. There are like food grade ductings, and then there are like 316L stainless steel ductings, and then the air which you throw out of that building, again it has to go through HEPA filters, and so many other things, details. And it was a big challenge. But we came up with a solution that instead of doing this, since it was an EPC project, the essence of EPC project is that you have to provide a solution, and then you have to defend your solution. So we thought that doing this kind of a design is going to waste a lot of money and resources. And we we came up with a loop design that have all your labs around it and all the surfaces in the middle, and then have a loop inside it instead of going and coming back, going and coming back. So this saved us a lot of length in duct, saved us a lot of wiring and everything, and saved us a lot of commuting time eventually for our client as well. So it worked very well. First thing which we did, we designed the whole thing in section and placed all the labs according to their need and according to their different restrictions or different challenges, and then gradually resolve the whole design. That was the idea. And then carefully placing different labs in different areas to ensure that the air circulations, they do not, get into each other. I will not bore you with all those details, but the idea is to give you a holistic idea of the challenges that we faced. This is how we envisaged. Now this baffle with aluminium baffle which you're looking at, and this is how it has been made now. Those aluminium baffles, they saved us something like 350 tons of air conditioning. Again, that was the saving which we got out of it. Imagine if we were not having that saving, what kind of loss we have borne on top of what we already lost. So it had everything. It has autopsy, it had narcotics, it had histology, serology. Think of any lab and we have it over there. After that, now what we are doing is now we are providing a total solution, including the equipment, training the scientists, getting the accreditation, and handing over the lab after tests and everything. We even have to go down and look into the construction sequences, how we can save time, and it literally worked. We saved like 1 year by planning scientifically each and every movement of construction before starting the project. Even how all the equipment is going to come into, all the raw materials are going to come into the site. We even have your batching plant. There is going to be the minimum distance between the batching plant and the building. How are we going to save time and all that? That is actually saving cost. And then we actually looked into the contract that was devised by NASPARC for us. The yellow is the money which we required for doing the project. It's a cash flow diagram. And red is the way they were giving us. So they were literally, if you look at it, this is where we needed money most. And they were extremely frugal, not giving us a penny. We literally had to pull out of their teeth each and everything. On the other hand, when we least need the money, they are happy to give us most. So we told them, the ridiculous part of the cash flow which they have thought of, and it worked. So it slightly improved, but it didn't really make us happy at all. Now, this is something which I was telling you about, opportunity cost, clean chip for similar projects all over the world, and third is metal and networking. In the process, we made a lot of friends. We found very large number of companies all over the world who could help us in getting a larger and more holistic solution, right down to getting the equipment for the experiments, and then getting the scientists, getting them trained all over the world, and then getting the accreditations as well. So these are those aspects which I would suggest to architects that instead of just looking into being, I'm not, it's just a joke because I'm a fellow architect like you people as well. Stop being master masons. Start looking at a larger perspective. Just quickly telling you the proposal which you're putting up for Qatar and Mukhtar. We learned the lessons. Putting a courtyard in the middle is going to improve the light quality even more. And when you improve the light quality, that means that the lux is going to be much more than what you need from these lights. So that is going to save energy as well. Be a cost for the building as well. And of course, when you're doing in Baghdad, so it has to be a fascist statement. It has to be a historical building. But then we had to, somehow somehow satisfy our taste buds as well, and they were looking at all the other buildings as well. Of course, they were back onto these buildings. Now, this is another important project. It's like turning a mobility route into landscaping urban continuum. This is another project that we did. There was a huge debate going on in Lahore on canal. You know, all the architects that were out on the roads and protesting about those expansion of roads and those cutting of trees and everything. And of course, it was not going to stop. And we understood that instead of going out each and every day and protesting and banging your head into the brick walls, let's find a way how to do it. Now, if they are not going to stop from expanding the road, how we can compensate the whole thing? So we came up with a solution that if people who have been studying in GUIT, I can see Jas Qadri, he must be familiar with that. It's the Shalamar interchange, which we call Mughalpura, the crossing of canal. From that point on to the Griffins or to the Royal Palm Club, all that area, that was the most hit area. They cut something like 750 trees there, and there was a huge hue and cry. We came up with a solution that, okay, fine, if they've cut 500 trees or 700 trees, we're going to plant 7,000 trees in the same place. So we did that, and we said, okay, fine, now this time we're going to do it in a better way. So instead of planting trees of, exotic trees being imported from all over the world, let's use the local trees. Let's bring back the ecological balance into the place. Why not have fruit trees over there? The first objection that we had from our politicians was that people are going to eat all the fruits. I said, yes, people are going to come from India to do that. For God's sake, they are your people. If they eat the fruit, then what's wrong about it? At least have those fruit trees, and it's going to be an ecological balance. All the plants are going to bring in all those birds and all those insects as well, which is extremely important for bringing back that balance. This is how we got that area. This is what we turned it into. And a lot of children and people, and it's a walking strip of around 2.5 kilometers going up and down. And then we looked at the underpass thing as well. Now, in that time, we had a lot of people, as the young guy over here before me who was talking about graphic designers, and I'm so glad that people think like that. We had textile designers in our office, we had graphic designers in our office, we had all sort of people from all over the field of design in our Alibaba. So we came up with the Tree of Life solution for those underpasses. Another project which was Alam Road, total disaster for us at the end, but at least we keep on trying. I think that once when your practice reaches a certain stage, that is the time when you have to start contributing back to the society as well. Do not look at the failures. Keep on struggling. Keep on trying to make a difference. Keep on trying to change or to stop the wheel of disaster. This is all you can do. But sometimes, if you do not get all, you get a bit of it. So great streets are destination city, not just links. Unfortunately, the way streets are looked into, even in Islamabad, I've noticed that roads are looked into as two things. One is mobility for moving up and down, and second is accessibility. That is how you reach into your building. So it gives you access to your buildings or to your pockets of individual architectural pieces. So whereas road itself, it's a great thing. It is a destination. It's the shake hand of any city. So it should be designed much more carefully. Champs-Élysées, Orchard Street, Singapore, all these are great examples. Then that George Street in Sydney as well. So why can't we have great streets in Lahore, in our great city? We took up that challenge because we were given an assignment of putting up a parking plaza in Lahore. At Liberty Market, we gave a presentation. We told them it is not going to work at all because an individual parking plaza is not going to sort out the issues of parking in the whole of Gulberg. So you have to think holistically. You have to come up with a strategy to solve the problem instead of doing those piecemeal single projects and then to take a club and then try to push people into those parking plazas, so park your cars over here instead of parking here and there. So best way to do is provide those facilities, spread them around, and then take the other route of pushing people into those. So in our initial study, we found 4 factors impeding MM Road from becoming a great destination. One was superficial congestion. Literally, it was superficial. Today, even if you go there, it is superficial congestion. Most of the problems are created by bad traffic management, bad planning of parking destinations, and 3, bad land use. That is the other problem. The lack of civic amenities, blanket commercialization policy. You have schools on that street, like 3 schools over there. And then once when we were down to actually looking into those aspects of MM Road, we conducted a research or a survey of the whole of Gulbarga. We found that there were 150 schools in Gulbarga. So it's not that those 150 schools are going to have students from Gulbarga area. So they were coming from all over the Lahore. Why they were coming to Gulbarga? Why? Because it was the central location of the new city center of the whole of Lahore. As you know that due to certain impediments, that is, one is the Ravi River, the other is northeast, which is India. Lahore could not expand in east or towards north. The whole of Lahore is getting lopsided, moving down into the south. So that naturally pushed the nucleus of the city center from the administrative street, which is the mall. From that, it has been pushed down into Gulbarga. Gulbarga has got a wonderful road network because all the roads lead down to Rome, which is Gulbarga. Whether it is coming from cantonment or it is coming from the north of Lahore, which is Mall and then Jail Road and then Main Boulevard and the canal, all those are leading down there. So there were 150 schools over there. So then we realized that there's a serious problem that 1 o'clock, only 50,000 cars, they stopped there, whereas the number of cars was something like more than 1 million, 1,100,000 cars, they go through Gulbarga in 24 hours. So it was more like a conduit. People come, drop their children, go away, and people come, work over there, then they go away. So it was about time that government or city manager, they should have realized something about it. And then we came up with the idea that think of it as a city center and revamp the building bylaws and revamp the development plans, development control plans. They listened to us when we got midway into that research. They understood that the developers are not going to be very happy about it, and they stopped the whole exercise. Anyhow, I'm going to show you a few things about it, what it is. This is the way it is. What it can be. We thought that if most of you must be familiar with Lahore, it's a road in between Hussain Chowk and Mini Market. So we gave them an idea that, okay, make it one-way street instead of having two-way street over there. This way you're going to calm down the traffic, and then use the 2 parallel roads, which are on one side is the Ghalib Road and there's another road on the other side. Use those as the opposite direction one-way loop. So this way you'll have a very calming kind of an effect on that whole traffic loop. And then have the bus coming from the opposite direction. So you can always stop your car, hop onto the bus, or a benign kind of a transport system which is moving on at a very slow pace. Hop onto it and go to your destination. Then create 3 or 4 parking areas over there, multi-story parking areas, and this way you're going to sort out that issue. Larger footpaths, and then using all those tools of traffic calming, having the lane closures, having one-way routes, having table platform, road ramps and everything. Thought down to the last detail, how to bring this change. Why parking structures? To eliminate street side parking and leave the roads for various modes of commuting, to provide transit for an alternate mode, to secure vehicles in a shaded space for a longer period. The last one was really light. Now, this is exactly what I was, telling you about. Create those, if you see those pink areas, So these are the suggested parking precincts. They actually exist over there. It's only that you have to put them in order. This is something somewhere in Chicago, one-sided traffic lane. This is what you get at Warren Road, used to get. So we identified all those choke points. This is the blanket commercialization. You can have a petrol pump, you can have a hospital, you can have a Pizza Hut, and you can have everything. So there aren't any development control plans, to restrict certain kind of commercial activity. So on that road there are something like 3 petrol pumps, which makes no sense at all. If you go to Manhattan, you won't find even one. So if people where they have a density of around, I think if I'm not wrong, 15,000 per acre, and they do not have one petrol pump or one filling station, and Gulberg has something like 15 or 20 petrol pumps. Makes no sense at all. Anyhow, moving on. So there are like 92 commercial properties, and if they implement the present commercialization policy, they are going to get like 20 million square feet of space over there. So they have a choice. The current infrastructure does not cater for it. The choice is either they discourage the commercialization policy, or they improve the infrastructure, which assures success of public transport and revenue generation for the city in various modes. So of course, wherever you go all over the world, they are going to opt for the second choice. They will never work for the first choice. Unfortunately, they did not do anything about infrastructure. I'm going to show you some examples. This is that exercise which we went through, designing each and every point on that road. That's a Pizza Hut crossing. So we came up with a benign mode of traveling that was tram. It is not a whimsical decision of choosing a tram. It's a number of passenger car units which you want to replace. If it exceeds a certain number, the mode of traveling changes. If it is 5,000 plus minus, then you opt for bus. If it is 8,000, then you opt for tram. When it exceeds 25,000, then the mode of traveling changes. So we looked into it, and we found that tram was the most useful, at least for another 10 years. So these are all those different things. Instead of using the conventional asphalt, use the asphalt which is going to absorb water so that it can surface recharge. Water is the most scarce resource which we have right now. So that is actually the montage of existing picture on the left, and superimposing with the design solution which we're giving. Now this is how we envisaged, and this is how we ended up with. So there's a two-way carriageway, and practically it is one way. Why? Because there is no turning back from one square to the other square. That is from Hussain Chowk to Mini Market. There is no turning back. So you have to go all the way down, take a U-turn and come back. And imagine the kind of glut which you have at certain times in those areas. I'm sure some of you must have faced that. At times you're stuck there for 15 to 20 minutes, even something like half an hour or more as well. And when I have to point out, sorry. Lot to talk about maybe some other time. That's a parking thing that we did. The interesting thing about that is that on the day one of when it was put out for sale, it brought something like 250 million in one day. But the second day the sale was closed, and it was all white money, all down payment. No investments were allowed for the black money, which is absolutely unheard of in development projects or in real estate projects. People usually use their black money for that kind of buying. But regardless of that, the second date was stopped. Do not ask me why. Okay, how much time do I have? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Nice to see you all. Anyhow, I'll just take you to one project which might be a bit of learning for the younger lot. It is this one. We are currently doing, this project is in construction stage now, it's Penta Square. It's in phase 5. It's a mixed-use development of 1.5 million square feet. It's right in the middle of DHA phase 5. Piece of land of around 80 canals. I don't know what it is in square footage. You can calculate that, multiplied by 4,500. Extremely important. So the idea was to have a very rich adjoining area, and then DHA should have the controlling interest in it. That what I meant by that was to maximize their profitability, at the same time to come up to a certain standard of maintenance as well. And then DHA should have the choice either to act like a developer or to go in a joint venture with a provision that DHA delineates the design and put up the design guidelines. When the money thing was brought up to them in terms of the pre-feasibility, there was such a huge money in it that DHA straight away dropped the idea of JV and went into the as a developer. So this was the first project which DHA is doing as a developer. I will just quickly pass all those slides as Atif is looking at me again and again. Choosing the right kind of configuration which is going to bring in the density back into DHA. DHA is working at a density of around 4.5 persons per acre. Imagine that. It's 4.5 persons per acre. Look at the kind of a crime which we are committing with our beautiful city. If you look at Lahore at large, it is 480, the metropolitan Lahore, it is 486 kilometers in all the area, out of which 75% people live in only 86 square kilometers. Rest of the around something like 400 square kilometers, that is where 25% of Lahore lives. Can you imagine what kind of a crime we are committing as planners and as developers? And look at the resources that we are wasting. So when DHA tries to bring in some kind of a public transport, it is nothing but a disaster and a failure, that the way you have it in here in Islamabad. Have you ever thought about it, that why Islamabad is so flat? Do you know the reason for that? Why Islamabad is so flat? If I tell you the reason, you'll be amazed. Islamabad is so flat because it was designed by Doxiides. Well, again, it does not make any sense. Now it is going to make sense. Who paid the commission for Doxiides? Who paid the fee for Doxiides? Make a wild guess.
Ford Motors.
There you are, Ford Motors. So Ford Motors actually paid the fee for Doxiides, and he made sure that the whole city remains flat and it is accessible only by cars. So now we do not have Doxiides, but we have DHA. So they're doing the same thing. So the idea was to bring back and have a lot of density in the middle of DHA, and then bring some sense back into the whole design. So this is how normally the projects are being envisaged in generally at large mega block right in the middle. And then the idea was to cut it out and then again make it profitable, but then it didn't work because the whole FAR was similar. Then we flattened a few points and then raised a few points, and then we looked at it, but again we faced very low FAR, which is floor area ratio. And then we came up with a slightly more interesting design, which could have opening up vistas and the views from one block to the other. And we engulfed, we had a large heart in the middle of 27 canals of park, and we call it woodland. The idea was to put a lot of trees in it, instead of having just plain superficial kind of landscaping. So these are some of those images. Actually, it is being constructed now. That is a large heart in the middle which I was talking about. And then we created a lot of public spaces in that area. Now, the lessons which we have learned from certain other projects that we have done, something like the water reclamation projects we have also done, how to turn around the fate of Sattu Katla drain. It's the largest drain. Lahore has got, Punjab has got 5 rivers, and Lahore has got 5 drains in it. So one is the Gulberg drain, the other is the Sattu Katla drain, and so many others. And those drains are nothing but pure potable water, which is misused and then thrown into those drains. Actually, that was the drinkable water which has been badly used. So the idea was to clean those drains. Now, all the schemes which Lahore is putting up, the city managers are putting up, are cleaning that water at the end. Before putting it into the river, they clean it and then they dump it into the river, which makes no sense at all. The whole drains go through the city, and the property adjoining that drain, that is nothing but total mess. And then they clean it at the end and then put it into the river. We call it Neki Ka Darya Mein Dal. Then the idea which we came up was, what if we clean the water at the source? And then we came up with a wonderful project. We call it Sattu Katla, project. Some other day, maybe we can talk about that project as well. And learning all those lessons, and then we even looked at the problem of cleaning the water by microbiological treatment as well. And that worked very well. That is another story which we can talk about some other day. But having learned all those lessons, we have applied most of those into that project as well. We have actually recycled the water, we have done the rainwater harvesting, we have taken up the cleaner energy issues as well, and it is all working. And at the end of the day, maybe the capital cost has increased, but in the long run, DH is saving something like 200 million per year after doing that project. So the payback period for taking up all those measures is going to be paid back in 3.5 to 4 years. So I would suggest please look into all those issues as well. I will skip that Sattu Katla project. Now I'll just briefly tell you that how we've done that in Alibaug. Most of the time which we have spent in the last 15 years in terms of looking at our office, that was in establishing the culture of our office. And we really struggle in doing that. How to develop that culture and that environment where diverse people can come and work, and they should actually enjoy it instead of feeling that as if they're working in hell, especially when all the youth, when they come in, coming from their institutes and getting into a large corporate office, it is slightly unsettling for them. So we try to create that culture that they get into it, they actually get into the grooves, and they become a very useful part of our team. And the most of energy that we get is from those youth, people like you who come and come up with new ideas and keep us pushing on to do more and more. So the other thing which is very important is the human resource, and we started off with a strategy of needing, if you need an unflawed apple, go and pick it from the tree. So we used to visit, actually we used to do this scavenging, we used to go to the universities, people were happy to bring us in for their juries, but actually we were looking at the right kind of human resource and whom we are going to hire, whom we are going to bring into our offices. We were looking at those things. And then later, from 2004 onwards, we noticed that now it is a different ball game. Now it's like a jar of honey. So we have made our mark, and now the flies and bees all are going to come to us, and we have to sort out which are the flies and which are the bees. Then they train them without fear of losing them. Train them well. Give them all the courses. Invest money in them. This is what we do. We take them out from courses. बीम शीम जो सब कुछ है इस्लामाबाद से लोगों को लाके तो हम क्या करते हैं उसको रखते हैं और उसको कहते हैं सिखाओ 2-2 महीने 3-3 महीने को कोर्सेज करते हैं. So we put up a lot of money into that without the fear of losing them. Why? Because then we have a rule that if they are ours, they are going to come back to us or they are going to stay with us. So if they are not going to stick to us, fine. So we are not losing anything, we are just training people. And in the process, we lose some and we gain some. We value youth in our culture. They bring energy, spontaneity, exuberance, cheerfulness in our design and culture. And if I show you some people, they are all very energetic people. And when they get tired of working, we send them out for trips. वो जाते हैं 5-7 दिन कहीं रह के आ जाते हैं. They are very happy and they are again enjoying their life. And if you notice, most of them, they are young people. But we pay them well, we spoil them. We call it spoiling. Spoil them a lot. So they are useless for other people. So I'm sorry, but this is the way we think. तो हर पैसे इतने देगा तो ले जाए फिर उसका हो गया वो. So this is just telling you, this is two architects, very young architects, who are with us from the last 4 years. And look at the growth which they have grown into. The first project on the left is the PIRE, the Pak Iran Investment Bank. And from there they are on to a project which is Command and Control Center here in Islamabad. It's a very highly technical project which is done. Khalil Saab is familiar because we went down to him for a lot of approvals and planning permissions. And then now they are working on another large-scale development. This is 1.3 million square feet. Those young guys were like 4 or 5 years of practice in their under the belts, and they are doing a 5.5 billion rupees worth project. This is amazing, and we love that kind of growth which we have in our office. So goals and challenges, we are persistently trying to find the culture and help you. I am open for any questions if you have. If Atif allows me for that.
Yeah, sure. Quick session of question answers, please. Before we open the tea.
आप कराची सीरीज की बात कर रहे थे इनिशियली प्रोजेक्ट की, तो वो स्पेसिफिकली आपने किसकी ऊपर अप्लाई किया था, कहाँ अप्लाई किया था प्रोजेक्ट में, और उससे फिर आर्किटेक्चर आपने क्या अचीव किया?
Fibonacci proportion is extremely beautiful proportion. It is actually almost 1:2 proportion, and we use it in windows, we use it on floor, we use it on in furniture pieces, we used in our racks. Everywhere we use that, and we took that lesson even to Shadi. There we use that golden mean proportion. So even the floor has been laid in Shadi with that proportional system. Regardless of what you see, that it's a very modern kind of a building in 2005, but it has got very, very classical proportions in it. Those lessons were learned from the facade of that building. So this is the way we pay homage to the buildings that we work on. Next question.
We're going to quickly give out the certificates to all of the participants. We're going to start with last time's the interactive Matrix 1 presenters who did not present with their certificates at that time. Can I please call Harun Saab and Khalil Saab to present those from the committee to present those certificates. Kadri, who presented last time. And we had architect Shah Shaks, who was a graduate of SADA.
Sir, please. Wait कीजिएगा.
Architect Paula Kiani.
Thank you.
And architect Salman Amjad, who was a graduate of IAP-RIC. And then this time's presenters, can I please have architect Dawar Zia and architect Ahmad Mukhtar.
सामने देखिएगा. Excuse me, sir. Sir, hold the certificate. सामने देखिएगा, please. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Can I please have architect Salman Mansoor? We would like to give out our certificates to the volunteers from the IAP-RIC. So we've got Ahmad. I'll just start taking names quickly so we can get done with this. Ahmad, Abdullah Mashwani, Ali Zain Khwaja, Arida Sarfaraz, Asfandyar Ali, Asfandyar Khatak, Aila Najib.
जी सामने yes yes please
Asfandyar Khatak,
yes please yes camera side
Aila Najib,
yes please and keep
Aisha Malik, Fatiha Hamid,
yes please
Hamna Ijaz, Hurain Baloch, Mohammed Asif, Mohammed Uzair,
yes
Maryam Ghaznavi, Marina Yakshi, Mir Shahriyar, Mubashir Rizwan, Sama Khan,
yes please
okay, thank you, sir. And for the last set of certificates, can I please ask Architect Jahangir Sherpao to please come and give certificates to the rest of our volunteers. Sama Khan, Parniyan Wasim, Raja Taimur Wali, Sara Habib, Shahriyar Ali, Shiza Asim, Talha Tariq, Mehani Wasi Ijaz, Zakia Takreem,
yes please
Zeenat Khan,
yes please
Just hope that the cat treat them.
Zirak Razak, sorry, this is Zeenat Khan, Zirak Razak, and Sami Mufti.
yes please जी प्लीज
Thank you very much, sir. I'd just like to quickly thank everybody who came out today to attend the event, and thanks once more to our sponsor, and hopefully see you all soon again.